All right, so let me get this started off then. So my name is Neeraj Mohanka. I'm one of the reviewers of a book. We have the author here, Varun Kulkarni, and his new book, A Weekend Hindu. We have a PowerPoint presentation that I'll share in a minute, and Varun will walk through the book, and we'll take questions from people. Our attendance is a bit low at the moment, so I'm assuming people are going to be coming in after a few minutes because I had one or two people I spoke with who said they might join. They weren't sure, so let's see if that happens. And as we get towards the end, I'll also give a little bit of my own thoughts after I read it, and Gayatri, you can give some of yours too. So without further delay, let me share the PowerPoint here. And I'm just going to put this in full screen mode. There we go. Everyone should be seeing this in full screen mode. Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right, Varun, I'll hand it to you.
awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this platform and this opportunity to talk about this book. I deeply appreciate the time and effort that people take out and to talk about topics like this because I think it is becoming harder and harder every day to not do things that are more enticing like Netflix and chill or going out with friends and just entertaining yourselves because of so much distractions that surround us and the fact that it is designed for adults and most importantly the kids to be distracted from the more important things that we need to do if we want to sustain and uphold Dharma. So just wanted to convey my deepest regards and appreciation for everybody here and who is joined and for all the reviewers. So the book Weekend Hindu has a background story on why and how I came up with this name and how I chose the topic and why it was important to talk about. Because all my time in America, I spent 18 years staying there first studying and then working. I had experienced different situations from beginning, and basically it evolved into more of a deeper understanding of how the life has been there, and it is different from what the American dream that people before coming there think that it is, the perception of an American dream it is. So if you don't mind going to the first page, Neeraj again, just wanted to talk about the cover page
Oh,
of that
okay.
on the first page, yeah, on how and why I chose that because it's basically trying to say that we are at a junction where we think that we have to choose between a modern life or a traditional life or a spiritual life, which I think is the question that this book mainly begs because the perception is that if you want to be modern in today's world, because it's like, oh, we are in the 21st century, why are we still talking about this? Why are we talking about Karwa Chauth? Why are we talking about all these things? Because people think it's either or situation, which is not. We can do both at the same time, and actually you can do all the things that you want in the corporate world, make all the money that you want. If it is established in Dharma, you'll do even better in those things. So that's the kind of the question that is in people's mind. That's why the cover page that was designed, that either you do a modern life or lead a modern life versus a traditional life, and that's where people find themselves as like, I don't want to become a Baba and give up everything and live a ascetic life. I want to live a more materialistic and modern life. So just a little background on why the book was the cover page, what it's trying to say. Um, so under the understanding of can we go to the next page now, Neeraj? So a weekend Hindu, the name is because while I was a student or even when I started working, everything that happened that had anything to do with me being a Hindu was always postponed on the weekend. So, and I didn't realize it until I kind of sleepwalked it for almost a couple decades. That why do I always have to wait for a weekend to do something that is our tradition? So even when I would talk to my parents, they'd be like, "Today's Rakhi, today is Sankrant, today is Gudi Padwa." We will be like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it. We'll be on a weekend. It'll be either the weekend that is following that festival or the weekend that happened before that." And I realized that everybody, regardless of their age or their place in the society, either they're a student or working professional, pretty much every one of them, they kind of postponed their being a Hindu for the weekend, because that is when they will celebrate the Holi or the Garba or Diwali or any festival that they were going to do. Hardly ever I saw anybody celebrating Ram Navami or any festival on the day off, because their life did not allow that. Their professional life didn't allow that. The social structure didn't allow that. So I'm like, okay, you are Hindus only on the weekdays then, or on the weekends then. Weekdays you are something else. So that's when the weekend Hindu term came up, because it was by convenience we were that, which is good, but is it enough? Is what we have to ask. Next page, please.
Hmm.
So we there are I divided my audience into the young people and the old people who are already firm and established into the way they think. It is hard. I thought that I wanted to talk more to the young people. When I say young, I don't mean by the age by what which they are, because you can be young at mind or you can be old when you're only 20 years old. It's more about the mindset, that how flexible you are in changing your ways is what I call young people. Because to anybody can be very firm at a very young age, in the sense like in their 20s they are very firm and set in their old in their ways, and somebody who can be 50 and 60 and still be open to ideas about, like, okay, tell me, what am I doing wrong, what does this mean, can we do the changes in whatever they're doing. So they're not so hardened into the things that they're doing. So those are the people who I wanted to address, because and the story is about a person, a middle class person, who wants to, growing up in India from a middle class family, so they're like kind of financially strained. So they thought that, okay, if I go abroad, study, and then work there, then all my financial issues, and not just the financial issues, but pretty much all my issues would be addressed and fixed. So they grow up in the families that they are practicing all the religions, all the festivals of our religion, but they don't know why they're doing it. They're doing it because their parents ask them to do it, so they do it to comply. But they never go into the details of, like, when you ask them any questions about those things, they would have no answer. And that's like majority of people who I know around my friends and their siblings. So knowing celebrating a festival is one thing, but really understanding what that means so that you can extract the maximum benefit out of it is another thing, which I think which is lacking in our generation for sure. And then also there are a lot of people, a lot of movies, a lot of influences in the society that will question them. So let's say if you are taught to, like, fast on Tuesdays because everybody in your family does it, then if you're questioned that, either you are able to answer why you're doing that, or you feel ashamed of it, or because you don't have an answer, so you get swayed easily. They're like, what's the big deal, you don't even know why you're doing it. So then if somebody comes around and starts questioning it, you can easily give it up. So the pride is not there, because they're not rooted into the things that they're doing properly. um, and then they also these are the people who want to kind of belong to the advanced society. They want to talk about AI, they want to talk about the advanced stuff that is going on in the country, and not go back into the traditions, and that is kind of like regressive, and it is like so out of place in the modern times. I mean, we have heard this a lot. We are in the 21st century. 21वीं सदी में आके are we still going to talk about Karwa Chauth? That is so regressive. So all the brands are out there to talk to say that your tradition is regressive. How well established are you in your own tradition to still stand firm and say no, it makes sense, doesn't matter what age and day it is. So those are the people who I thought I should be able to talk to, because I think they are still flexible in understanding how and what they're doing and why would it make sense or why would it not. Next, please. So the main character for this book is Neil. He's a representation for this whole generation who has this mindset that they want to get away from the country, get away from India, because that represents getting away from all the problems of the country. That also means that solving all the problems. So like, I just want to get out of this place because it sucks. There is no good traffic. There is a lot of corruption. I'll be able to make a lot more money. That going out of the country to do the right thing that helps you grow as a person is not a wrong thing. But if you are going out of the country thinking it's an escape from the problem, is a wrong mindset to be in. That is the only problem that I have. Like, I don't think people who are outside the country are any less uh, uh, in the patriotic or love for their country. It is the mindset with which they go out is what differentiates people who are actually doing what they're doing. So Neil represents that population that is trying to get away from the country, because that is getting away from the problem. And even though he is following the tradition and doing what is needed to be done for different times of the year, but he has no understanding or no deep connection with those things. So just a little bit of a push and he'll be okay with giving it up. So I wanted to make sure that this person, a lot of people should be able to relate to, or if they are not like that, they would definitely know somebody who is like that. So this character has been made so that people can understand and relate to every single thing he is thinking and the things that are happening to them. And I've represent. This is not supposed to be a gender thing. This person, I've made it as a male because then there are 3 more characters that come into the book. Next slide, please. Which are Shamli, Bhanushri, and Isha. So these are 3 girls. So the story has been set as if this one boy meets 3 different girls at 3 different times in his life, and how they sway his thought process. And these girls are basically personified situations on how these situations will change that everybody will face, that how they will sway and change your mindset and your thought process and your path in the life if you're not grounded firmly in what you think and do. So yes, it looks like, okay, a boy met this girl, and then this happened, and he met another girl, this happened. It's not just, it's just to show it as a story, but it is more like how this boy faces these situations that starts swaying him in this one specific direction. So the situations that these girls represent are very real, that all the boys or girls will face during their time when they're outside the country. So it is more about how you face those situations and what type of choices do you make and how do you react to them. Is understanding those situations is what makes the difference on which type of path you follow. And I go into a little bit of a detail on how the peer pressure works, because that is something that is very real. When people either deny it, accept it, doesn't matter, it is there. And there are different types. Peer pressure is not always somebody yelling at you and asking you to change things. It's also a lot of inexplicit times also, when people are just doing what they, you just feel it on your own. Nobody has to come and ask you to do certain things. Just because of the ambience or the society that you are in, or the, the company that you are in, will make you do things just to fit in, and we do that a lot. So these are the four main characters of the book, which this story is laid around. There are other characters as well, but again, these are just two. These characters are kind of representation of situations or accumulation of situations that are kind of personified to make it more relatable. Can we go to the next one? So in my time, all 16 to 18 years, I have realized that I have jumped into all those four categories, and this is just my estimation based on, I literally listed all the people who I know, who are NRIs, and I kind of categorize them into these four. So this is not statistically proven, Pew Research didn't do this, there is no research like this, but I'm pretty sure most of the readers will agree with this type of categorization. And I would love to hear if there are people who disagree with this. But there are four categories that I chose to categorize all the NRIs in. Um, don't know, don't care, know but don't care, don't know and care, and know and care. So what are they knowing and what are they caring about? What knowing I'm talking about are all the situations and the geopolitical things that are happening in the world, all the knowledge and understanding of their actions on the dharma, and knowing about what all things they can do to help the situation. So knowing is just not just about the problems that are happening in the country, but knowing also about the things that they can do to help them and their kids and people around them. So most of the people I think fall into this category, that they don't know what is going on around the world. What is an ecosystem? What type of things, and what is a halal certification? What happens when you buy halal stuff? What happens when you don't buy halal stuff? So because people have asked like very ridiculous questions, like, why, if I am eating one packet of biscuit that is halal certified, why does it matter? It doesn't mean that it causes a bomb blast in Delhi. It doesn't mean, this is so stupid, like this. So that is just an understanding of, or lack of understanding of halal. And then that is when the second step tells me what type of person they are. Like, do they care to know when I'm telling them it is an issue? So that is when they fall into don't know and don't care, because they don't, like, मेरे को interest नहीं है politics में, I don't care about politics, don't talk to me about politics, it's all negativity, I want to keep negativity away from me. So all this stuff that has been fed to them, like, stay away from negativity, politics doesn't affect you, be peaceful, humanity is the biggest religion. So this is all misunderstanding or lack of understanding, or you can call it ignorance is bliss type of mindset that people live in. So I found that the majority of the people are fall into don't know and don't care category of the NRIs. Like, they don't know about anything and they don't really want to know. They don't care. Then comes the people who know, but they don't care about it. They know the situation, they know what will happen if they buy halal, they know, but they think that, they don't want to give up their comfort, they don't want to go out of their way to do anything that will help solve that situation. So I think that is the next biggest pool that we have, which is people who know but they don't care. Because I think they are the second most dangerous type of population, because even after knowing, if they don't care, then I feel that it will be hard to convince anybody like that. Then there are people who really genuinely care, but they just don't know, they just don't have the exposure, they don't go out of their way to read stuff, just because they are maybe too busy with their lives. So I think that's the next level of people who they just don't know. So it's just a matter of right type of people exposing them to the right type of information, and they will immediately go into the know and care type of category. So the don't know, don't care, I think is a very, very majority of the people who you will meet will fall into that category. All they care about is they have the Costco membership, they should have a Tesla car, they should have few houses that they can rent or stay in a big house, and make sure they have visited as many national parks as possible on their long weekends and all that. So it's like very, you can summarize all of their lives in very few terms. It's very template based. So the story also goes into classifying this the NRI population like that. Can we go to the next one now? So as I mentioned that the identity that we carry, that are we Indians, are you Hindu, when somebody at your work, somebody in your neighborhood as your friend, they say, oh, you are Hindu, so that means what caste are you from? Are you a lower caste or a upper caste? Then immediately we become defensive. We don't, either because we don't know how to articulate our answers for that, or we think that, oh, because we are told that we are upper caste, so we should not, we should be really nice to other people, because otherwise we'll have that the guilt. Or if you are lower caste, then we are already in that complex. So it's just I feel that it's more like the stereotype that has been built about when somebody is a Hindu, then if you are, let's say, a proud Hindu, then what defines somebody as a Hindu? So just because you were born in a Hindu household, then automatically become a Hindu for life? Or is it more like because of the practices that you do on a daily basis makes you a Hindu? So that understanding of a definition of a Hindu, I don't think majority of the people will be able to articulate when somebody who doesn't understand is able to is questioning that. And then again, the dilemma that most of us would have living in the modern world in a developed country like this, in not just in US but Australia, UK, New Zealand, wherever you're staying. The story is based in US, but it will relate to every place else. Is that you, let's say you're working as a project manager or a director of something and all this in these big companies, then you are always talking about this corporate jargons, you're talking about sales budgets, forecasts, everything. Then is that contradicting with your traditional lifestyle? Like, are you celebrating Ram Navami as enthusiastically as you're celebrating Thanksgiving with your colleagues? So nothing wrong with celebrating Thanksgiving, but if it's coming at the cost of you celebrating Ram Navami and other stuff, then that is a problem. That is what we have to see. And because of the distance and because of the lack of societal help that we have when we go outside of Bharat, that is where the cultural disconnect happens, I feel, which I experienced. Because let's say if there is Holi, the time of Holi, if you are anywhere in central India, northern India, it will be hard to miss that. Like, even if you don't like Holi, or you cannot ignore it. Like, I didn't even realize when Holi came and went, but that happens a lot when you're outside. If you're not into the Indian diaspora, into that circle, into that organization, that the student organization or your Hindu organization or Telugu organization, then it is very easy to miss it. It's very easy to miss a festival, because miss Ganesh Chaturthi, you never went because you had to work late at work in your office. But if you are in India, you cannot miss it. So because of that, I think that the constant reminder is lacking, and it becomes like an excuse that, oh, the Rakhi came and went and we didn't even realize. So I'm not even talking about Diwali, because it can even happen for Diwali that you don't realize it, depending on which part of the country you are in. So those are the type of kind of questions that subconsciously this book begs when you're reading it. Can you get to the next one? So we will talk about this. This is one of the illustrations that I drew, and it's part of the story that goes with the movie. But we'll come back to this picture, and I will ask to see if anything in this picture is offensive or not. If everybody who has read this book will relate to what I'm talking about here, but I think things like this, and this is just an example, but there are various things like that that you see in various households that people think that, oh, it's some people can get take a lot of offense to it, and some people will think like, oh, what's the big deal? So that conversation, is it happening or not, is more important. So let's say if you end up in a place where you see something that you think is offensive, but that person or multiple people, which will be majority of the people, will not think it's a big deal. So then, do you stand a ground and pick? When they say pick your battles, do you take a stand that no, this is not okay? I cannot I cannot just sit here and ignore that happening and pretend that I didn't see it. And a lot of things happen like that. So this is an example. This is a real situation that happened with me that I took from my real life and put it in the story, because the person didn't think that it's such a big deal, and it felt like, oh, it's just a piece of art. Why are you taking such an offense to it? And what I felt that one thing is that when that person bought it, this is just to give you a context. The picture shows like an argument between Neil and this person who has this ashtray which is shaped as Shiva smoking, and that is where you tap your cigarettes to put all the ashtray on Shiva. So it was a good looking piece, no doubt, but I wouldn't take it as an ashtray. So that is like, I could not bring it up, and that was the time when I was not even that cutter, which in today's world. But I thought that this is just not okay. It just didn't feel right to me. So the person who bought it was defending it, saying that what's the big deal? It's just a piece of art. So my problem was not that they didn't think it's a problem. My problem was that when I'm bringing it up and trying to explain why this is a problem, they were still disagreeing with it. So it is not like, okay, when they bought it, they didn't think it's a problem. They bought it and they knew that it is bad. They still bought it and they're still using it. So those are the people who are know and don't care type of category I'm talking about. That they know things that they're doing, they will still keep doing it because they just don't care. Let's go to the next one. So the takeaways that I feel are very important from the book, because it's not just an entertaining book. I feel that a lot of young generation, I think Amazon has miscategorized that as baby books, but like more than 6. But I think anywhere from 12 years or older should be able to read this book and take something away from it. Because I think at the very least, I feel that people should take away that we should always question, or if we don't understand or don't like something, then you should be able to stand up and question things. That should be a habit, and not just to pick fights, but just out of inquisitiveness, understanding why you are doing certain things, and not just like to fight with somebody, but it's also understanding if your mom is telling you to do something, then nothing wrong with questioning that. Questioning in the sense, make me understand, help me understand, tell me more about this type of things. But if somebody is doing something you think is wrong or offensive, then also we should be able to question it. So that is the type of habit I think it should build in people, and the type of curiosity that should always be in somebody's mind when they see things or are going about their lives. Those are the type of things I think that is very, very important, that I'm hoping that this book should convey, and I hope it does. Then there are like I kind of simplified it into like the tangibles that somebody should be able to do, because it is so hard to talk in abstracts. It is easy to preach in abstract, but it is so hard to understand in abstracts and implement those abstracts in our lives. So when we talk about like, oh, I should have good energy, I should have good vibration. So yes, it's easy to say that, but then I need to translate that into layman terms, or something that somebody can take away and start doing it. so that it manifests or develops into good vibration and good energy, right? I can't just say like, okay, go start having good vibrations. How does that person do it? So that is why we have sadhana that people do, so that once you do sadhana, then you eventually it'll improve and help. So that's basically the idea of giving them tangible, that okay, you can start doing these really small things from tomorrow. So for example, like just be very about things that you buy. Just instead of buying brand A, start buying brand B, because brand A maybe is halal certified. So we are not asking you to starve, we are just asking you to change the brands. Just check the things that you're buying and understand the repercussions of what you're doing. So things like that I've listed out, which hopefully should help people. And also like the other important things, I felt that it's more about the small things that we do or we don't do. Eventually, if you look back 5 years back or 10 years back, you will realize that how much have we lost. You don't lose things you don't lose things, traditions, cultures in a day. It mostly happens throughout time, and in engineering terms we call it creep stress, that basically creeps up on you. You don't realize it happens, and all of a sudden one day it shows up. So you all of a sudden you realize that, oh, the next generation do not have an understanding of what is the real meaning of holy. And so to give you a real life example, like I know so many people, couples of my age, my friends, who their understanding of or definition of Diwali is that they would go out to a friend's place, and then they will do a potluck, and then all this time all these couples would have prepared some random Bollywood songs, dance performances, and on that day they will go eat food and then dance on their on Diwali, on those dance or Bollywood songs that they have prepared, which has nothing to do with Diwali. And then maybe they'll burst some firecrackers, dress up in their traditional way, and then come back home. So that is their definition or understanding of Diwali celebration. So I'm not worried about them, I'm worried about their kids who are watching all this. So those kids who are like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever age they are, that is the only Diwali celebration that they have seen. Let's say if they're not exposed to the what really Diwali celebration is. So imagine what type of definition or what type of understanding of Diwali they're growing up with. So when they grow up, that generation will only know Diwali like a potluck and a Bollywood dance. So look at the attrition, look at the understanding of Diwali, how much has that depleted over one generation. Now imagine what the next generation will see if this generation is seeing that. So that I feel that is what happens when what you didn't do anything drastic. I mean, to me it is very drastic when you're celebrating Diwali like that, but every year you do that, then your kids, next generation, will just have no concept of Diwali. That's already like only 5% of what Diwali should mean. So that is another thing that I feel that should get conveyed, that every single action matters. So even if you do a small action that is good, will go a long way for the next generation as well. Neeraj, the next one, please. So these are just, I would say, like the tangible tasks. These are the tangible questions that the book wants you to think about. And even though it doesn't matter which type of lifestyle you're living there, you could be a very wealthy person who has all the means to you, or you can be a student who just came there, who is just trying to make it ends meet there. All these questions should still be relevant to that lifestyle, and I think that it is more important that we do some just thinking on these questions. It's not something that these are not the questions that you should go and ask anybody, but these are just the questions that people should just sit with and see how their actions answer these questions itself. So I'll just take one as an example, that are we preserving culture or remembering it occasionally? That is literally what a weekend Hindu means. That, okay, are we doing it just because it happens to be Rakhi, or it happens to be Holi, or whatever festival that we are celebrating, just because it is that. Uh, and then we forget about it altogether. If anybody asks anything about that festival, we have no idea. Only thing we say, like, come, we will have good food. We invite our all white friends and everybody. They come and they have good food and then they go home. The most of all of our festivals were there for our own improvement. For there was something to do or something to take from us. They all have very deep meaning. How much of that are we able to extract is what the question that we should ask. So, or are we just going there to just dress well and dance on Garba on the weekend, just because it's good for our cardio, or it is good for just a dance because they play some good music. So those type of things, I think we should just question, and then once we sit with these questions, I think a lot of actions will come out of them. We will start, I would say one of the biggest action would be start going out and questioning things that you don't think is right. Next one, please, Neeraj. Oh, I think we went back. Okay, this one is the last one. Good. So, yeah, I think I didn't want to reveal too much about the story, but I think I gave enough information about what the story is about and how does it go. I would give it up to the reviewers now, and hopefully they will be a little easy on the book, but still be able to convey the message that they understood. And I hope that it was a little bit in line with what I just mentioned.
Excellent. So let me jump in here first. This is Neeraj, and then I definitely want feedback from others. So I
Yes.
typed up my notes, and I think I might have shared this with you, Varun. I don't remember, but I will. So my situation is kind of even one step removed from what you described. So I'm not an NRI, I'm an American. And I recall growing up in the 1970s that, and actually our family came here to the US in 69, there weren't that many Indians, there weren't that many Hindus, and even the NRI term was kind of new. And then later on in life, as I grew up as a teenager and in my 20s and visited India, people would often say, "Oh, you're an NRI." And I would say, "What does that mean?" They said, "Non-resident Indian." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm American. I never grew up in India." And so I can tell you that what you observed, it actually gets much worse. It gets much worse. And not only do you grow more distant from the traditions, but imagine if your parents themselves were a little bit distant from the traditions. So there's less to even pass down. And so then when you meet with a group of people and they say, well, it comes from the family and you learn, and they're like, what are you talking about? A lot of people don't get that from the family or get that, there's a little bit, but not a lot. And one generation removed, it gets a little bit less and a little bit less. Now, there are cases I always describe of the Caribbean Hindus who've been there for like 6, 7, 8, I think almost 9 generations. And they've kept things, but that was very, very purposeful. So if you want to keep something, you have to have uh, real effort, a real education system, and real coordination to do it. And I think what you're showing in the book is you spontaneously on your own, you're coming up with those thoughts. But if you get, thousands or millions of people come up with those thoughts, it starts to create more of systems. So I think we have since, once again, I'll go back to 1970s. From the 1970s today, I feel that here in North America, we have started to develop systems. We still got a long way to go, but there has been some progress. And yes, I would say that this is a great book. Congrats for doing it. Thank you for doing it. I think we need more of this type of output from people who you're probably like my kids' age. My kids are 35, 32, and 30.
Yeah,
And
thank
so I think it's good, and I think we need more of that. And yeah, let's get some other people to give some feedback and some thoughts here.
Ji, I would say that this book is it's a very good, excellent book, a very good attempt to draw attention to the fact that Hindus have become weakened. You use the term weakened because they become Hindus in the weekend, but I would rather say they are weakened, WEAKEND. NED. They have completely weakened because it is it's so much far removed from dharma, and one thing I noticed is uh, you the chapter I like the most is, of course, encountering Bhanushri's article, especially on sati,
Yeah.
the practice of niyog, and child marriage, and what is normally bandied about to tarnish Hinduism. So
Mm-hmm.
that is well articulated and very well put. And I would like to add there one more ritual which is kind of always trashed, that's Kanyadan, because it is essential in every vivah like that happens. Because there then you had this Alia Bhatt and others coming up with an advertisement also a few years back, calling Kalyadan a kind of a sale, sale
Right.
of
Right.
women, or treating girl as a chattel or a property of exchange.
Right.
So that again has to was trashed well. But then what we see now is such things are being not only it's not just the communists and the Abrahamists who peddle these thoughts. It goes even among Hindus. Like you say, even among the RSS people. I would like to. So, what is your thought regarding that? How do we break that this kira of reforming Hinduism? How do we attack that? I mean, that's where I would like you to express your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest folly in the mindset that has been taught to us, or uh, we have been brainwashed like that. I feel that it's a general feeling that the society needs to do this. These people have to do this. Somebody has to do this, and I think that's where we fail. We should just not worry about what the society has to do, or what these politicians have to do, or what the army should do, and all these people. We should just focus on what we should do. I think if we just focus, that is the whole point about we turning inwards, right? That is what all of our Sanatan has been talking about. All the sadhana, but all the sadhana and the practices that you do is not. I am not going to do sadhana so that Gayatri ji starts feeling better. Like it has to do. It has always has been about what we do. So same thing goes for all the practices and everything, all the rituals or lack thereof that we should focus on. So I think once everybody starts doing that. So for example, when you always say, not you, but in general, people always say that, oh, politicians, they're always corrupt, because the understanding is that corruption only means that you're taking bribes, so you're taking money for something, right? But is that the only corruption? But corruption is everything, anything in corruption. How many people can say that they have always stopped at the red light? Doesn't matter what time of the day or the night, or if the cop is there or not. So if the person who has ran a red light because the cop is not there, or if it's 2 in the morning, uh, that he's also corrupt. So with what ground does he have to stand and say that only the politicians are corrupt? So corruption is not just about taking money or not money. So it is just he wants to like sit at home and fix the politicians. Same thing for our practices also, that if Hindus are also starting to do this, what the other communists, because it is their dharma, they will do things that are against us. We should just focus on like how much are we helping ourselves and our own dharma, and not just we. I'm not going to focus on the whole society about that. I'm just going to focus that am I doing it enough or not. As long as everybody starts having that mindset, I think it will have a snowball effect, and a collective consciousness will happen, and it will gain enough momentum that it will be very powerful. That's what it's about. That's what my opinion is.
That's very helpful, Varun. I always say that basic human character development is lacking. And I'm not just speaking about India. I can't really speak for India as much. I'm speaking for America anywhere. Basic human character development, like curiosity, hard
Mm-hmm.
work, like don't be lazy, don't sit on your butt and blame somebody else. Do it
Yeah.
yourself. Looking in the mirror, really looking
Yeah.
in the mirror.
Yeah.
Um, that's always very difficult, right? And that goes for any age. It doesn't matter how old you get. Uh, Anybody who's on this, who's around 60 or older, trust me, every day we look in the mirror and we're like, I could do better. we could always do better. So we had Anupam, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it is not exactly a question, but an observation, and I would be willing to like have your view on that. So I can recall like when I was young, one of my cousin went to US, and we were like very much, worried about him. Arey, how will you manage over there? You will be alone. And then gradually more of my cousins went, then my sister went, and then like I found that I was the only one who was here in India, and most of them has migrated to US, right? So now one more similar thing, what I'm observing that these guys are doing a lot more about the core Hinduism practices in comparison to what we are doing here, all these people who are still remaining here in India. So while I was observing your point on four kind of NRIs that you were mentioning, and I could see that even among my cousins and my sisters, and then I'm seeing uh, the people who are here remaining. The situation of these guys are even worse, I can tell you,
Yeah.
right? So like in that ways, when because my younger sister is she's like a very pro Hindu, and like she's doing a lot of work. We even started a project, a business project around this, how we can really get that curiosity back into our children to do this, so all those sort of things. So what I am seeing that that at least there are some people who are trying. Here nobody's even trying. So that was my observation, just to like share that thing.
No, I totally second that. And because when I was writing this, the way the story was going, it is about this person going outside and experiencing what he was experiencing. So that is why it happens to be the NRI experience. But the more I started writing it, and then I started the book promotions in India, I just started realizing that it is applicable as much as, if not more, to the Indian diaspora as well in India than and outside as well, because it's like trying to relate more to the West, and that like trying to associate and identifying more to that. We are overdoing it in India, and that is just my observation, and looks like you also have the same thing. So I totally agree. It's not just the NRI.
That's very good. Thanks for doing it. I was going to say, people like me and my kids were second, third, fourth generation and going on, right? So at some point, it's very far removed from India, the
Yeah.
country itself, and really more of like, what's your dharma, what's your religion, what's your heritage. So we had another person, Anand. You had your hand raised. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, namaste everyone. This is Anand. I hope most of you are from US, but I am from UK.
Nice.
So I think I got invited this morning. But yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate Varunji. Congratulations and Dhanyawad for taking this initiative. And just as a, not a, as a one of the comment, and second one is about a clarification which was spoken by Gayatri ji or Neerav ji about someone was talking about the RSS thing, or I didn't get that point. I'll just get clarity on that one, and then after that I'll be adding my comments, please.
Okay. Gayatri ji, do
Want
you?
my you want my clarification on my observation on why RSS thinks that it has to reform Hinduism, because that kind of a mindset is gone even into the RSS people. As now the actually the Kanyadan thing that I was talking about, one of its two of its luminaries, and I don't want to take their names, although it's quite evident, people who know about it, had even written an article. And in fact, one of them is both of them are well placed in today's central government. They had also boasted about having a marriage, vivaha, at their home, where they insisted that they would have a woman pujari. We are not against women become purohits as such, but there is a tradition which is followed, Women pujaris are there in certain agamas, certain rituals. You have a male for certain reason. It can't be just because you want to have so-called equality, you can't just push in things here and there. Not only that, they had boasted about saying that we had the whole vivaha ritual without the kanyadan. As kanyadan, we don't give dan of kanya. Kanya is not a property. They simply did not understand what kanyadan actually means. It means gotradan, and moreover, it is the union of Vishnu and Lakshmi.
Yeah.
That's how every marriage works. So Kanyadan is not property, not just that. And then now we have people, now even Mohan Bhagwat now insisting on, he endorses all this draconian reservation, where it is moved from discrimination to literally criminalization. Like if you follow today's
I think
news
so.
here.
Sorry, Gayatri ji. Hopefully I'm taking a diversion of the topic here. Coming back to Varunji's book there.
That is
Sorry.
to give the
I think
background.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification there, Gayatri ji. But again, I just want to add my comment there. Yeah, take the RSS out of the topic now. The RSS is Bharat. Okay, it's a Rashtriya Bharat. We are outside of Bharat. Yeah, it's especially US, UK, or anywhere from there. So we are not a Rashtra. We are a Hindutva thing. Okay, we need to focus on Hindutva. That's where it should be, and that's what my intention will be. Like because as Varunji, you are from US, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from UK. So when I say that, okay, keep RSS out, everything out of it, let's make sure we are out of it. Let's follow the kids, read the book. We haven't read the book yet, but again, I'll hopefully when I buy it, I'll read that. The main my focus will be is to get the things ball rolling with our Hindutva qualities in ourselves. And also we have HSS out of Bharat, which is called HSS, which is called Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh. It's nothing to do with RSS, but the principles are there. I think we need to focus on those things, like what is sanskar, what is seva, what is sangat, those are things we need to imbibe, and especially with the book where people or kids read the book, so we need to follow those things. That's what my intention is about. And again, I'm saying is because I was similar to you, Varunji. I came to UK as a bachelor. I did my masters. I got a family. I was like, yeah, I was not a weekend either. I was completely out of thing. I was like enjoying like anything. But again, with past 5 6 years, so I changed my routine. Like example, like Varunji has wrote a book, but I am part of all these Hindu organizations right now. And my kids, to give an example, my both kids are teenagers. So I started slowly. Every day morning, just start reading one Bhagavad Gita sloka first, or do some prayers in the morning. When you get up, do a bath, go to the mandir, do the sloka chanting, read one sloka at least, and that's what a habit is. I know my son is in medicine now, first year, so he does the same thing till today now. So this is what I changed myself within the past 5 6 years. So this is an example I want to give it. So hopefully we need to encourage those things. That's what my comments and those things. Yeah, Dhanyawad for giving the opportunity, and congratulations, well done, Varunji. Please keep up the good work and carry on doing this. And hopefully we'll spread this message in UK as well. From yeah, namaste. Thank you.
Please do, please do.
Thanks, Anand. That's
Varun,
great. I do want to throw in one quick comment before we get the next feedback, and that is, don't feel that if traditions are lost or something's lost that it can't be regained. It can be. If we look at, and I don't want to get into politics right now, but Israel is obviously in the news a lot. But there's a country that was kind of reconstituted in 1948, and people were gathered up from around the world. And they kind of rebuilt things which were lost, in some cases for almost 2,000 years. They essentially reestablished the Hebrew language, and they kind of reestablished having a geography associated with Judaism versus just a bunch of scattered people who might have been, weekend Jews or closet Jews or hidden Jews. So that's, one thing you can look at. And then, of course, the other one I always like to point out is the Caribbean Hindus, which have, kept things going, I would say, very well, considering a lot of strikes against them. And they've done it for, I don't know, about 150 years. So, yeah, other people, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Someone else was going to say something?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Hello,
Yes, please.
can I ask a question?
Sure,
Yes,
sure.
please.
Who was that?
My name is Mohan. I
Okay,
live in Los Angeles.
okay.
I got fundamental question. Why we are born? What is the purpose of life?
Purusharthas.
I don't see. you hear.
Can I text you question? I want to know why God created world, why we are living, for the purpose.
Okay.
Big question. I don't know if it's in the context of our whole book review, but sure, go ahead and I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that one. That's a loaded
Okay.
question.
It's a loaded question. I would like to attempt it. With this,
Yep.
dharma actually consists about the four purusharthas, or the four important goals of a human being when when we come into existence. That is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha and kama, I hope you understand. Artha
Yeah,
is
but why God created the world? For what is the purpose?
That can be understood by, you see, some, I asked this question to a person whom I take now lessons on Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta. So they told me especially, but because even Bhagwan likes some sport, he told me, you keep writing or something or the other, or you keep trying to make some dish, try out making some dish or other, or try doing anything like painting something as your hobby. Even Bhagwan needs a hobby. He said it's Shiva which separates into Shiva and Jivatma. And Jivatma again becomes Shiva.
Yeah, but God does not support us when we need Him, and we are suffering.
It, it's not like that. It is to help yourself. I mean, one has to strive, do whatever we can. That is why I said, if we have the basics, the foundations are clear, if we are more grounded on dharma, whatever shock we have, we are still grounded. We know we have to overcome it, and we'll have the strength and the positivity in us to overcome it. If we don't have that, we won't be able to, we'll cave in. So that is why dharma is more important. And Vedanta too. If you can understand the purpose of of this life, then it's more an objective, because Veda, how dharma looks at life is, you be a sakshi. Atma is a sakshi. You have that objective uh, viewpoint.
Yeah, but
Everything else happens at
as a
home.
human being, we have to suffer because
Yeah,
Yeah, Mohan, these are great questions. I think we maybe should take them offline so we don't get too far. Otherwise, we
yeah.
could have philosophical questions, and trust me,
But
I could talk for 12 hours.
Varunji,
It wouldn't be helpful.
yeah, those are deep questions. I think you need to ask to some uh, proper people,
But it's good. But it's good. Always these thoughts
And
are good.
Varunji, about the book, I think Neil had migrated, or he looked towards the US because of the constricting or or the strangling, reservation policy, the beast, the monster that is here, right? He wanted to escape it. How merit becomes too, I mean, there is hardly any scope for merit here, right? So he wanted to, so how do we address that problem? Because you had cited that in multiple, I think in page number 9 and even later about it. We still face that problem even now. So
Yeah.
that is a monster which needs to be addressed.
I would also
And
add in Gayatri that that monster exists in many nations, because here in America, things were much more merit-based when I was a child growing up. They've become very political and very politically correct over these last, 50 years or so. So it's a problem almost everywhere. It gets manifested differently in different countries because they all have different history. But this requires all citizens really to push back and to actually change the politics, because otherwise the politics can be very divisive. I can tell you that as a child growing up, we had certain basic core beliefs about America, and a lot of those beliefs now are kind of gone. So my children's generation, like Varun's age and younger, they're all like socialists essentially, and in some ways anti-America. And that was unthinkable when I was a kid. Everybody was like free market capitalism is the best way to go, and communism, Marxism, socialism are for idiots. It doesn't work. the last 200 years, every nation tries it. It's a dramatic failure. That you can't even like say that now in certain circles. And there are different types of, reservations in America too. So these are challenges everywhere, not just India. Before I blabber on more, Shalini had wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I just
But
wanted to add a quick comment.
Yeah.
Mohanji, as so many other people have pointed out, this is not the forum to discuss this question. It's a very deep question. But why I say this is not a forum is not because there is no quick answer to it. Also because wherever it is that you're situated, the structure with through which or the lens through which you want to find an answer is not adequate. So as Gayatri ji said, you have to either delve into Advaita Vedanta. Basically, you will have to look into the Hindu way of saying things. And in the end, as she said, as she summed up very nicely, it's a play of God. It's like he puts a system in place, like how somebody installs traffic lights, at all points in a city when he designs a city. And then how you move through those traffic lights is entirely up to you. So God does not create bad situations for us or good situations for us. If you go around, jumping lights and hitting into other cars, and then that causes injury to you or your car, you cannot blame it on the architect who's laid down the design. But this is just not even scratching the surface. What is the purpose of life is a very, very deep question. I suggest going through Atma Bodh or Tattva Bodh. These are Adi Shankaracharya's books, primers on how to live life. But there is so much more. So if you're going to look at who is the evil here, we don't have an evil. We don't have an evil or a devil, anti-God kind of a thing. So you need to first, lay down the structure or understand the structure the way the way Sanatan sees it. You cannot see through the Abrahamic lens, and then say who does that and why is he fighting God. So that entire thing has to be. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini. That's great. I want to do a quick time check. So I'm asking Pooja and Rajiv and others who are organizing this. We're about 1 hour in. Was there any plans for how long this is going to go, or we're just going to stay on as long as people stay on?
1 hour. I don't know if that means we have 1 more hour or 1 hour. Oh, out of time. Okay. I just wanted to, if I may answer what Gayatri ji was asking about Neil, uh, because he left the country with the lack of resources and all that. The reason, right? Is that right, Gayatri ji? So do I
Yes,
still have time
yes,
to answer that?
yes, yes. I would like you to answer that.
Okay. So I think what Neeraj ji mentioned was true, but I think it's the difference in perspective on so what the problems that people have here, we call it as a first world problem. The problem that they have is like their problem is like their flight is delayed for 2 hours. That's like the biggest crisis or the biggest stress or the worst day of the month that they had. But people in the third world will be more than happy to get on a flight and be so it's like it's totally different perspective, I feel. But I think the problem that why Neil escaped from is he the amount of resources available versus the population that are trying to get that. So the competition, it's not just that the merit has no value. The merit has no value because so many people have that merit. It's about the percent of selection rate in all the competitive exams that you see is like 0.1%, less than 1%. So you can be the best, you can score 99.5% and still not be able to get into the right or the best schools in them. It's because the competition is so much, is because the resources are limited to what, I mean, we're developing the resources and all that, but still there is a lot of people competing for the same thing. And you see that in like everyday life. You see like how people are desperate to get on a train, on or what type of, if there is a shuttle available, how fast people try to get on. They'll push you and get on it. It's because of the population versus the resource situation, and that is what translates into the mindset on which shows up in our daily lives. So that is why Neil thought that okay, an easy escape from this is to like okay, let me go to a country which if I just take a GRE or GMAT, then I'll have access to more resources without putting as much effort that I will have to put in if I stay there in the country.
Varunji, that's a very good explanation, but I would like to draw your attention to one thing. Here we had PG NEET exam, which is actually, if you follow the news, it is actually an entrance exam for PG medical courses. So the UGC decrease, I mean, the central government decreased the entrance, they had to score, they accepted even minus 40 score, not even zero, minus 40 score for SC/ST. So I don't know where it goes.
Oh, I know that was a
Whereas the
different.
general category shoots up
Yeah,
to levels where it's very difficult to get in.
I didn't even
So
touch the the reservation
that
part in the book. I
yes,
wanted to get
and
into.
Varunji, one small question. You in the 10 tangibles, you do mention that Hindus need to choose their careers, which would uplift Hindu society and
Yeah.
not just for higher salaries. So, would you like to enlighten us? What kind of what did you have in mind when you say that?
Yeah. So it's very simple. Like most of the middle class society, when you go around, ask, do this experiment on your own. Talk to 10 of them and ask them what do they want their kids to become. Nobody is going to say become a historian, become an Indologist, become an archaeologist, right? Nobody will. They will either say become a good, high-paying job is the most important thing. Does a historian pay as much as an engineer or an AI data analyst? It probably won't. So the prioritization is on the short term on how much money. It's not that they don't get paid or they die of starvations, right? It's more about the prioritization on how what type of life do you end up choosing for your kid. You don't even give your kids a choice to pick what they like. How many of you would be okay with your kids, not you people here in general, be okay with your kid becoming a yoga teacher or a Bharatnatyam teacher? Before you even tell them that you are okay to do that, you will tell them this is the worst thing you can do, or you will think your kid is a failure and all that because he doesn't make as much as a data analyst. So that is what I'm saying, like, do something that also helps revive the culture and not just about making the money, because what's the point of being a miserable data analyst? I would be a blissful yoga teacher instead.
Absolutely, very
Yeah.
nicely put. I agree
And
with
there
you.
are changes happening that way. I mean, I grew up in a culture which was very conservative, so I can tell you I became an engineer and I did very well. But in some circles, I'd still be considered a failure because I didn't become a doctor. That was the culture I grew up in. That's here in America. But
Yeah.
I was determined that with my kids, I would give them more freedom, and I did. And they chose different kinds of careers, not as lucrative, but they're happy doing what they're doing. So they'll
There
be,
are very few Neeraj. I don't think there's any more Neeraj Mohankas in the world. So we really want more of them.
uh, there aren't a lot of me, but there are some, and I think, look, I think the most important skill that people need is networking. So talk to different people. Don't just talk to people who are from India. Talk to people who grew up here like me. Talk to those Caribbean people. Talk to people who are whatever, Africa,
Yeah.
Australia. Talk to different people. You'll get different ideas, and and things may change. So just once again, a time check. So I'm going to ask again, Pooja and Rajiv, do you want me to wrap up here, or what's our plans?
So,
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up now, and we have everybody's contact information. So I think if people want to have side conversations, um, maybe like Mohan and others, and absolutely. So I just want to thank everybody for the time. I think we had it started out a bit slow, but then I wrote down definitely people attended, which was very nice. Um, we definitely need to grow what we're doing here, and the best way to do that is to support authors like Varun. So I encourage everybody to please go to, if you haven't already, go to Amazon, buy his book. After you read it, and I've read it, leave a review, which I'm going to do today. Recommend it to others. You can talk to local libraries to request that they get the book. And I was told that if there's some assistance that needed, that this Hindu book club can help do some coordination there. And I think that could go even beyond that to other libraries throughout the U.S. And I guess it'd be beyond the U.S. We can definitely include Canada in this. And talk to other local organizations who could have events surrounding this. I think once again, this is a refreshing book. It's a bit different than what I've seen. I think we need more of this type of thing. So Varun gets started on book number 2, but other people like him, work on these type of projects. We all need to, I always say, because you might know that I'm working on my one of many books right now on history of India, and people ask me how I got into it. It's just curiosity. So many times I'll get together with a group of Indian parents, uncles and aunties who are one generation older than me, who go, "Oh, your family must have encouraged." I said, "No, no, 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 no. My family was all about, make money. And, I probably didn't do as well as I should have done in that category. So no, it is just curiosity. I just was a curious kid, and that curiosity never ended, and it still doesn't. It's one of the, basic human attributes we all can have. Just never be satisfied. Like you said, Varun, look in the mirror, ask yourself questions, ask questions of society, and don't stop doing that. So if anybody wants to have any wrap up uh, feedback or say anything about Varun's book, please jump in now. Pooja, do you want to say anything? Or Gayatri? Anyone?
I I would like to end by saying that everybody should buy and read this book, especially children should be reading it more. And it's a very good book, very simply written, in very simple English and with very loaded, it has a very loaded message. It has a very universal appeal. So I would like to appeal to all parents to please buy these books for your children and even read through it yourself so that they can get illuminated. They can know how to argue when, at least when they face a communist or a Abrahamist who challenge their own beliefs, or they can themselves start looking, learning to know what is dharma if they don't know. So it's a very good book. I really enjoyed reading. Thank you.
Anyone else? Pooja?
Yeah, it was very wonderful session. Thank you, Varunji, for coming here, and thank you, Neeraj, and thank you, everyone. It was really wonderful session.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Okay, namaskar.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.